Welcome to Project 360 Official. I am David BEU, who will join you in discovering the fascinating stories hidden in every brick and every architectural detail. Today, we will go back in time to the splendid New York of the 19th century, to witness the ups and downs of a powerful woman who once reigned at the top of New York society from a gilded throne before facing a heartbreaking tragedy. Join me to learn about the mini-mansions of Lady Astor, the architectural masterpieces that made her name and lifestyle. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any exciting episodes on our channel. Caroline Schermerhorn was born into a wealthy New York family in 1830, and her destiny was destined to be extraordinary. Her ancestors, the first Dutch settlers to set foot in Manhattan in the 1600s, had planted deep roots and owned hundreds of acres on the prosperous island. Her father, a prominent shipping magnate with a fortune worth millions in modern dollars, left Caroline a large portion of his fortune when he died in 1850, making her a financially independent woman. A concept that was almost unthinkable for women in America at the time, when wealth was traditionally vested in men. 3 years later, she married William Backhouse Astor Jr. Although the Astors were not the first settlers, they had been in New York for a long time, accumulating a huge fortune in real estate and becoming a symbol of old money, power, and stability, in sharp contrast to the new money of the industrial elite. As a lavish wedding gift from William Astor Sr., the young couple were given a stately brownstone townhouse in the up-and-coming area of 5th Avenue and 34th Street. The house, with its discreet exterior but understated elegance, was their first home, where Caroline spent much of her time raising her young family. She led a modest life with few parties, until William Sr. died. He left the couple a huge fortune of $45 million, equivalent to $1.2 billion in modern times, a figure that stunned everyone and was enough to change everything, especially the way Mrs. Astor viewed her home. This inheritance completely changed Caroline's life. She officially proclaimed herself the Lady of the Astor family, her husband the male master, and she naturally took on the prestigious title, Mrs. Astor, an undisputed title in New York high society at that time. With her new status, entertaining guests became an indispensable part of her, a social duty that she performed perfectly. Her cozy, family-oriented home needed a dramatic makeover to become a palace worthy of its owner's status. On the outside, she kept the solemn, discreet architecture almost unchanged, so as not to attract unnecessary attention. But inside, the house was transformed into a true architectural masterpiece. The living room was resplendent in gold, gilded from floor to ceiling and crafted in an elaborate Rococo style reminiscent of the grandeur of European palaces. The dining room was renovated in the Louis XV style, adorned with priceless French antiques, each with its own historical story. But perhaps the room that made the house and Lady Astor famous was the ballroom. The walls were covered with exquisite works of art, exquisite sculptures and precious heirloom tapestries were scattered on the floor. In total, this room could comfortably accommodate 400 guests, a number that later became the measure of New York's upper class, coined by Lady Astor and her close friend Ward McAllister and known as the 400, a symbol of the highest power, status, and influence in society at that time. Only those who make it onto this list are considered members of high society, and this room is the gateway to that world. Of course, a family of such status did not stop at entertaining at home. They also owned prestigious summer estates. First was Ferncliff Farm in Rhinebeck, New York, the childhood home of Mrs. Astor's mother-in-law, a large, peaceful, and picturesque estate. perfect for a retreat away from the hustle and bustle of the city. It was not just a property, but a piece of Astor family history, preserved and developed as a peaceful retreat. Then, when Newport, Rhode Island began to emerge as a fashionable summer destination for the upper class, Mrs. Astor could not stay out of the game. She bought Beechwood, a stately Italianate mansion built in 1852. But stately was not enough for Mrs. Astor, who always wanted everything to be perfect and ahead of the curve. In 1881, she commissioned the renowned Gilded Age architect Richard Morris Hunt to overhaul and expand the entire mansion. The sole purpose, to best serve her social activities, befitting her position as the queen of society. The ballroom at Beechwood was also designed to accommodate 400 guests, reflecting the consistency of her lifestyle. The 400 rule applied wherever she reigned, even during summer parties. The remaining rooms were lavishly decorated with the most fashionable furniture of the time, every corner exuding sophistication and luxury. Here, guests can enjoy regal pleasures such as horseback riding on lush green trails, playing exciting outdoor games, cruising on the blue sea, or simply strolling along the windy cliff walk, watching the waves crashing on the shore, fully enjoying the beauty of nature and the pinnacle of high-class life. Beechwood is not just a house, but a stage for Lady Astor's summer social events. When the 8 weeks of summer were over, Lady Astor would leave Beechwood and return to her townhouse, now just a short walk from the newly completed Central Park. But not all was perfect in her home. In a little-known detail, and the beginning of a major change, her brother-in-law had demolished the house next door to build the Waldorf Hotel, a towering structure that towered over her mansion, obscuring the view and bringing with it the noise of the city. It was a sign of change, as individual mansions began to give way to larger structures. As other developers continued to tear down mansions and replace them with skyscrapers, the area became overcrowded with a constant stream of people, noise, and the unpleasant smell of horse-drawn carriage traffic. After 40 years of living in the house, Mrs. Astor made a bold decision, one that reflected her relentless drive to maintain her social status. She teamed up with her son, John Jacob Astor IV, to demolish the old townhouse and build a hotel to rival the Waldorf, which they named the Astoria. At the same time, they once again engaged architect Richard Morris Hunt to design the largest duplex ever built in New York City, a new symbol of the Astor family's power, a statement of superiority. Built in 1896 and designed in the magnificent chateau-esque style, the magnificent duplex faced Central Park at the corner of 5th Avenue and East 65th Street. It was not just a house, but a work of architectural art, representing the height of wealth and power at the time. On one side is the home of Lady Astor, and on the other is the home of her son, John Jacob Astor IV, symbolizing the family's unity and power, as well as the generational transition in maintaining the reputation. Entering the house of Lady Astor, you will pass through the entrance hall and enter the grand staircase hall. Here, a grand marble staircase winds gracefully along marble walls, above which a shimmering leaded glass skylight brings natural light into the space, creating a sense of awe from the first step. Guests will be escorted to the reception room to comfortably await the arrival of the host, a formal and social ritual. If you are attending an informal event, you can relax in the drawing room, which is lavishly decorated with floor-to-ceiling gilded wall panels and precious European antique furniture, every detail exuding sophisticated luxury. For a more intimate party, you might find yourself sitting at the dining table, facing Madame Astor, who sits in front of a sculpture of Venus, a powerful image that underscores her status. But if you have the honor of being invited to a ball, you will enter the grandest room of all, the ballroom. Rising 4 stories from floor to ceiling, exquisite sculptures replaced the brackets, supporting the ceiling above the walls covered in works of art, creating a space of unprecedented grandeur and splendor. An interesting detail, and also a reflection of the hostess's sophistication. A hidden orchestra area in the mezzanine where live music will resound, completely hidden from the view of guests, creating surprise and magic, making the balls more splendid than ever while still maintaining privacy for the musicians. She enjoyed lavish receptions at the mansion until tragedy struck. She slipped and fell down the marble staircase, sustaining a serious head injury. From then on, she rarely entertained guests and is said to have spent her final days in a largely confused state. A tragic end to a brilliant, powerful life. In October 1908, she gave a rare interview to the Delineator. She was quoted as saying, "I am not vain enough to think that New York will not get on well without me. Many women will arise to take my place, but I hope my influence will be felt in one thing, and that is to discourage the indecent methods used by some New York women to attract followers." These words, spoken over a century ago, still ring true today, revealing her vision and sophistication for how a woman should maintain her dignity in society, rather than seek fame at all costs. Unfortunately, she died later that month from complications from her injuries. The magnificent twin mansions were passed on to her son, John Jacob Astor IV. He made significant changes to the house, essentially merging the two sides. Its interior spaces became more sumptuous than ever, and the house was once again filled with guests for lavish parties and soirees, continuing his mother's legacy. Beechwood was also left to him, where he remarried in the ballroom, marking a new chapter in the mansion's history. However, John Jacob's fate was equally tragic. He was on board the doomed Titanic when it sank, forever remaining at the bottom of the ocean, a great loss for the Astor family and America, a tragedy that shocked the world. Astoria later merged with Waldorf to become the famous Waldorf Astoria Hotel, and the two mansions were left to his estate. Over time, Waldorf Astoria was demolished and replaced by the icon of New York today, the Empire State Building. Lady Astor's twin mansions were also replaced by Temple Emmanuel, a testament to the city's constant change where history always gives way to development. However, Beechwood continued to exist. It was passed down through the next generations before being sold out of the family. Today, it still stands, serving as a luxurious private residence, one of the few remaining vestiges of a golden age. Ferncliff was also passed down through the family, but was eventually replaced by Astor Court by Vincent Astor, grandson of John Jacob IV, indicating a restructuring of the wealth of a powerful family. If you take a walk down the streets of New York, you won't find the magnificent mansions of Lady Astor, as we just pictured. However, you won't be able to escape her great legacy in shaping this city. She was the woman who redefined the luxury, power, and rules of the New York elite, and her influence still resonates today, seeping into every street and every historical story of the city that never sleeps. Her houses are not just architecture, but living chapters in history, witnessing the rise and tragedy of an uncrowned queen. If you found this video interesting and want to explore more about the life and mansions of Lady Astor, don't forget to check out our playlist, where David Beu goes deeper with more detailed images and history. Let me know which mansion is your favorite in the comments. And once again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any exciting episodes on Project 360 Official. See you again in the next fascinating architectural stories.